Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How are you guys doing? This will probably be the last AMA for me for this set of questions. I believe I've got everything that I can answer, so I think what we're hoping to do is to get more people participating in it, and that will help continue that part of the series. And then I'm still reaching out to people and seeing if they're interested. It's interesting that since this series has taken off, I'm getting into more contact with people I used to know, but not necessarily the people who want to answer questions like this. I'm not really beholden to the industry the way I used to be. I'm totally a freelancer. I contract out my work to the highest bidder, and as a result, I'm not afraid of Activision blacklisting me or any of these companies blacklisting me anymore. I don't really care. They can hate me all they want. They're not going to be able to stop me from doing my job because I have a reputation and a history of doing good work. Not everyone has that same opportunity, or that is to say, there are people who can't say what's on their mind because of that. And unfortunately, because I do speak my mind so freely, this presents problems for people who are still stuck in that industry cycle and have to deal with the consequences of, say, Activision poaching employees from their studio, or Activision dropping a lawsuit on them, or Activision deciding not to work with them, or Activision deciding that some monetary group that they have an association with should not give money to a startup. Get what I'm saying? So just by the nature of speaking freely, you get problems in the game industry. The game industry is actually much smaller than people think. And based on the number of times that I've run into people who I used to work with at different places, and like if I go on my LinkedIn, I'm 1 or 2 steps away from almost everyone in the industry at this stage, which is kind of cool, but also a little bit scary that, you know, you've got all these associations built in that you might not even realize. So while it might be sad that this will be the last part of this AMA, I promise there will be more content in the Warcraft III vein. My intent is to take some sort of Warcraft III series all the way to July of 2022. So we've got another 6 months of stuff to work on. And I think you'll like the next part of the series, which I'll talk about at the end of all this. And with that out of the way, let's get on to the questions. What was the process of your work on the Warcraft III missions from start to finish? What parts of the work did you have a say over, and which were out of your control? I think I went over this a little bit in the first one, but this question asks for more details on that. So the way that it worked, Chris Metzen would write the story, and he would write basically a mission outline almost, where he would give the beginning and sort of the end state of what the mission would be because of the nature of the writing, and he would give you some idea of what should go on in the mission. But that being said, once we got that script, we would all do a round table and we would read the script together as a level design team, and if anything seemed weird or out of place, we would basically give some feedback to Chris, but otherwise one of us would claim dibs on the mission if it spoke to them, as it was with the Culling, and then we would do the mission, and we could do whatever we wanted at that point. You would open up the editor and just do your thing. But yeah, it would start like this, where you're just putting textures down and building out a level. Now granted, early on we didn't have all of the tools available that we did later on, but really it didn't change that much from beginning to end in terms of how we approach these missions. Now each individual level designer had their own creative process. I can tell you that my process was basically I would start with an outline of what I wanted to do, and I would start laying out the map that way. So I'd do some rough outlining of where I wanted things in the mission. Actually, I usually started with the cliffs. I had a big thing where I wanted things to go up or down. I don't remember how to do anything anymore. That's the sad truth. It's been such a long time that I can't remember the way that I used to work. I know there's a way to make this little square a little bit bigger, but I can't think of it now. Now I'm just messing around. But this is actually a good preview for what I intend to do next, which I'll get to later. In By Demons Be Driven, there's an unused trigger for a gambling mechanic. What was it intended for? Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Let's open that up. Triggers. Magic Vault. It's got to be this. The Magic Vault is a vault, which it looks like a box. I think they made the Magic Vault for Dalaran, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, it would be cool if it would drop like random items There it is. So this unit here, which can drop items from a custom item table, you just create a set and give a % chance. We didn't have that. So at some point, that's why I was doing this. But then we got that, and so this was obsolete. But my purpose in creating this then became, well, what if I had this in a trigger set and then anyone could just copy and paste the trigger into their map? So that was the idea, is that I would make one sort of randomizer for all items that you could drop in any map, and then you didn't have to think about it, and you could just... Everything's completely random, which might be nice in some situations, but probably not for campaign missions. So ultimately, it just wasn't something that was terribly useful, and I had kind of wasted my time. All it does is it sets this integer randomizer between 1 and 20, and then the weight is there because I couldn't get it working, and I was told that it might need a weight. So that's... Sometimes you would safety triggers with weights like that so that the game could catch up. But it does poll every 0.1 seconds, so that's why you would wait 0.1 seconds. So it's just a random number between 1 and 20, and then it drops one of these things. I don't even know if this works, to be honest with you. But yeah, the event and condition is kind of a wonky way to do it, and so obviously just creating a table set on it is better. And ultimately, I think it led to this, but I'm not 100% sure. So there you go. That's what it was for. A lot of people think King Arthas is one of the hardest missions. Do you agree, and why? Let's go look at that mission. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know why people thought this was hard. So the goal of this mission was to do a stealth mission with a character who doesn't do stealth. So you had to pick and choose your fights very carefully. That was sort of the goal. So the reason people might think it's the hardest mission is because if you just like try to ramrod your way through, you're going to get smoked, because there's like all sorts of triggers in here where characters will fall back to other units and warn them. So the villagers would run to guards, and then the guards would come running. So if you play the mission like you would a normal melee map where you just throw your units at stuff, yeah, you get crushed. Like if you try to go through this main gate, you're basically asking to die. And this entrance, I admit, is not very easy to spot. In fact, if I were to redo this mission right now, I would do something like this. Because there's no reason to overly hide this kind of thing. There's ways to draw your eye over here. Remember, with the black mask on, you're not going to necessarily see that. I tried to do certain tricks, like this is up on a hill and that goes down there. Assuming that I even did this, I think I might have taken over this level from someone, from Tim maybe. But anyways, the point being that this right here is probably what screws it up. Because once you lose one unit, the rest of this becomes quite difficult, especially if you miss the graveyard, though it's literally right on the direct path, so I don't know how people would miss that, but it's possible to miss it. But yeah, right here, I imagine a lot of people died. Like if we had Valve-style playthroughs where we would get feedback and could see the data from playthroughs, I'm 90% sure there would be like a bunch of players who died right here, and the mission becomes unplayable to them because all this gets aggroed. 3 knights, 4 footmen, 2 footmen in the front, and you have 2 ghouls and 1 Arthas, who is level 1, I believe. You're dead. So that's what I imagine. There's a lot of cool stuff on this map that people probably didn't notice. Like there's a Fight Club reference over here. His name's Tyler. His name's Robert. Tyler Durden. Robert Polson. Those are references to Fight Club. I think I answered that. So do I agree that it's the hardest mission? No, it's not the hardest mission. It's only the hardest mission if you wait, is this King Arthas? This isn't King Arthas, is it? Oh, it's not King Arthas. Okay, this is from the Frozen. So it's King Arthas is in the Frozen Throne campaign. Let's open that one up. I'm going to have a totally different take. This is King Arthas. Oh yeah, I know this map now. So, is this the hardest mission in the game? No. The reason people would think this one's the hardest mission is because I've divided your forces across 3 areas of the map. And so the primary goal of the mission is to stop the villagers from escaping. So you're slaughtering all the villagers before they can get out of here, and you've got cover 3 different areas, 3 different paths. Up here with Kel'Thuzad, down here with Sylvanas, and over here with Arthas. And the problem, you're dividing your attention between 3 different areas, and so that gets confusing for people. It's like, I gotta build over here, I gotta build over there, I gotta make more troops over here. One of the keys to this mission, though, is that you can sort of incur your way into this area. I mean, once you've choked them off here, like they're not getting past you. You can literally block this with abominations. This path less so. It's more difficult, and especially because they can come from the top and the bottom here towards Kel'Thuzad. And then down here, it's primarily you need to have enough banshees to take over any knights who come your way, because the knights are the biggest problem for the bottom right. But one sort of cheat is if you can get an abomination to the top right and to the bottom right. The abomination cloud will poison everything and makes things a little bit easier. And so mixing troops helps a little bit. But the reason that people lose this mission a lot is not because it's particularly difficult. It's because there's 2 types of troops. Troops that attack and troops that just walk past. And so people focus on the troops that attack, and their units get distracted and start chasing the guys who attack and are fighting with them, and so the villagers just walk past, and so you don't even notice when one gets through. So it's very important that the first thing you do whenever like a group comes into one of the 3 areas is to murder the villagers. And one of the things that helps with that is if you move up your choke over here on the bottom, after destroying this, of course, that helps you a lot in making sure that you have a little bit of extra time to kill any villagers before they pass. And same down here is like, as soon as troops approach this one, use the banshees, take over the knights, and then you have an army of knights that can run down the villagers really, really quick. And then up here, it's a little bit more difficult, but Kel'Thuzad is the key because he can slow things with his AoE. I understand why people think it's the diverted attention. You're paying attention to 3 different areas. You have to do building with 3 different areas. And so one of the hot tips, if you're stuck on this mission for whatever reason, is to hotkey your buildings. If you put this and this on a hotkey, put it on 0, 9, and then I would have this one down here on 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then just whenever you've got money, just hit 0, build whatever, 9, build whatever, 8, build whatever, 7, build whatever, and so forth. And that allows you to focus on whatever mess you're dealing with in terms of fighting while being able to build simultaneously. And that's where most people kind of lose it, is they can't build at the same time as they're fighting, because you're fighting a lot on this map, either trying to progress or trying to stop the villagers from getting through. So yeah, I understand why people thought it was hard, but you know what? It's not that hard. You just have to focus and not let the villagers get through. That's all. And I give you plenty of opportunities for them. Don't you get like 20 that can get through before you even lose? How many are allowed through? That's what I want to know. Here's victory, defeat, villagers escape. 20, yeah. You got 20 chances. How are you? Come on. Hardest mission. Next question. What's your favorite cinematic from Warcraft 3? What's your least favorite? I mean, I'm sure everyone has the same answers. My favorite cinematic for Warcraft 3 is Arthas coming home and murdering his father. Like, how can you not like that? That's sort of the apex of the entire story, is that Arthas has come home and the unexpected happens. I mean, it's expected if you're paying attention, but... And my least favorite cinematic is the end cinematic, unfortunately. The one where the Night Elf sperm invade the pores of Archimonde. Just such a dumb cinematic. Like, that's just a terrible ending. So, I'm sure most people have the same answer. Have you kept up with the Warcraft lore or not really? You know, I hadn't at all. I think World of Warcraft Classic was the last time I sort of had any inkling of what was going on at all. I have had an unfortunate revitalization of interest in it, and I've sort of looked at what's going on with the Shadowlands and so forth, and I'm just not interested. These stories are not terribly interesting to me anymore. Like, Uther's back for whatever reason, and Sylvanas is a traitor, and then she's not, and then she is, and she's been fooled by the jailer, but no, she hasn't. Like, nothing makes sense to me, really. It just seems like a lot of confused storytelling that isn't really going anywhere. If I had to guess what they're moving towards, it would be a total reset of the universe. That would be my guess, which I think would be the best thing for everyone involved, because without Metzen there, all of the stuff that he sort of set up is kind of gone. So you may as well just start over and do something else. So maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I don't think there's going to be a Warcraft 4, maybe a World of Warcraft 2. Maybe that's what it's leading towards. So we'll see. Why was Reforged so disappointing? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? What did they promise and what did they deliver? Let's look at the promised features for Warcraft 3 Reforged. I mean, like you can read article after article about everything they promised and what they didn't do. Clan system, player profiles, ranking ladders, automatic tournaments, and the possibility to play on our own maps for solo player and campaigns were removed from the game. So, it wasn't just that they broke promises. It was supposed to have completely redone cinematics and all this stuff with like full-on animations. Like they had completely redone the culling, and that was like sort of their selling point. Was like, look, we made the culling even cooler, and then they didn't. They just flat out didn't do it. And that was all the surface stuff that they had promised. They had actually promised in trailers and things like that. They just didn't deliver. I thought they were going to redo all the cinematics, the out-of-game cinematics too. I don't think they did that either. Let's not relive this again. Blizzard and broken promises.
What are you doing? Succeeding you.
Yeah, all right. Enough. It's making me sad. But it's even sadder than that because of all the things that were planned. And again, I have to point out that Bobby Kotick would not fund this. He didn't want this to happen because he didn't think there was enough money to be made from it. And you can't argue with it in terms of a profit motive. It's hard to say what would have happened if this had actually happened in full. There certainly wouldn't have been as many returns, but ultimately it was simply they set an expectation and they didn't deliver, and that's why it was so disappointing. Nothing's more disappointing than being disappointed. So if they had just delivered what they had promised, it wouldn't have gone the way it did. It's just so much sadder because I personally know how much more that they were going to give beyond the expectations. Like they were going to over deliver, and instead they under delivered, which is like the exact opposite of Blizzard in terms of how they operated in the past, or at least when I was there. Among the Reforged missions, what is your opinion about the mission you worked on that were redesigned, such as the Culling? Is there anything in these missions you wish it was available from the original mission? Yeah, I wanted the zoo. I thought the zoo should be in the Culling. I understand why they changed it the way they did. I disagree with it. That's not how I would have done it. Because again, there we go. That's the Culling. There's my baby. So I don't have the Reforged mission to do a side-by-side comparison, but I was missing the zoo. I know that supposedly Grank is still in there as a random from one of the houses, but I think that's kind of lame that you can't go find this secret. It's a random chance now. And I disagree with the way that they made the mission kind of smaller, whereas I was trying to give this vision of like a component of an epically large city. I don't know, maybe I got it wrong and Stratholme was supposed to be much smaller. I don't think so though. And you know what, from a level design perspective, it's not the best layout. I could have made this better, tighter, pulled this in, had some secrets over there or something like that, and overall it's fine. It's fine what they did in Reforged. I don't hate it, I don't love it either. Who's your favorite hero from the game? In terms of the story or in terms of like to play? In terms of to play, like a gameplay dynamic, it's the Blade Master is my favorite because he has stealth and he can come out of nowhere and critically hit someone. So you get a bunch of cool opportunities to surprise attack, and he's got so many escape mechanisms. I think one of my favorite strats was like an early Blade Master and then just going into their peon line and destroying stuff, and then as soon as they come after me, I'll just go invisible and wait for them to go away, back to creeping or whatever, or maybe show up in their creep camp and like kill the monster with a critical hit just before they can. Definitely my favorite hero was the Blade Master. In terms of the campaign missions, it's from the Frozen Throne. Is it Maiev? It's the Warden. I want to say her name is Maiev, but I don't think that's right. The leader of them. Yeah, that's it, Maiev. So the reason that in the campaign missions I liked Maiev so much is because of her abilities. Blink, that's why. Because with Blink, you can do really cool secrets. All of the missions with Maiev have cool hidden secrets that you can only blink to, but I know I did one of them, and yeah, I put all sorts of crazy, cool little secret areas that you can blink to. The sad thing is I can't remember them all anymore because it was so long ago. Not a big fan of her vengeance ability, but it was fine, I guess. Sort of made her able to like go into areas all by herself and like handle stuff, which I guess was kind of the point of the character, being the Warden. So for playing Warcraft 3, like in multiplayer, Blade Master. For making missions, Maiev, has a blink. What, in your opinion, is the most well-made mission in the game? The most well-made mission in the game? That's a tough question. I have thought about it a bit, but I don't really have an answer. I would say from a dungeon perspective, the Dungeons of Dalaran was the best mission made. And actually, I'd say like overall, the Dungeons of Dalaran was one of the best missions for both. Primarily because it's just got so many interesting things going on, and it's got the cool secret level. It's one of those missions where you can play it like 2 or 3 times in a row and discover new stuff each time. And I think those are the most interesting. And also you can change how you strategize it. Also, it has a bunch of like cool scenes that you come across, and that's always something that's really fun that makes the world feel alive. Is like when you come up this ramp, you see the humans holding off the undead incursion. So it's like there's all sorts of cool storytelling going on. And then there's the ghost mages and there's just it has the secret level in it. For me, having designed it, so I'm obviously biased. All the secret paths I even forgot about. Look, I put little doodads here to show you where to go. There's just so much in this mission. A lot of love went into it because I guess I knew it was like my last dungeon mission. So I was everything that I had thought of during Warcraft 3 that I couldn't get into that mission over there kind of went in here. And then the ending is kind of epic as well. And I pissed off a few people with it. And it has really good story beats too. Just so many good secrets. And the runes and the rune secrets. So good. Sorry, I'm gushing over my own mission. I'm just remembering all the stuff I put in here now. But it's one of the best missions in terms of like it has all these. It's got a magic vault. It just drops a tomb of knowledge. It's got the indicators from the runes. It's got the secret areas that you can go in here and come out in a different area, and lots of opportunities to get reinforcements. It's got good visual storytelling. You can see the undead coming in from underground and attacking, and there's conflict, and it's just such a interesting kind of high level mission. And there's a lot of intrigue and mystery, and like, who made these and who were these ghostly archmages, and it's just one of my favorites to remember. Is it the most well-made mission in the game? I don't know. It was the mission I had the most fun making, I would say. The culling was kind of a chore. At some point it became a chore because making your own AI, I just don't recommend that. It's rough. What is your least favorite mission in Warcraft 3? To have made, or just in general? I guess in general, the early missions are always kind of boring. And Tim Campbell had a good point that the first missions for the campaigns should be the last ones done, because you want to give the best impression. But when we're making the first missions, we just have no idea what we're doing at that point. So really, if you want to give a good impression, you want your first missions to be the last ones that you do, because then you know all the tricks and all the cool stuff that you can pull off, and then the first missions would shine. We didn't obviously do that because we got the script in a certain order, so those missions had to be worked on relatively early on. But in terms of my least favorite to work on, at some point the culling... When it came to debugging the culling of Stratholme, it got real bad. And that's why Mike Morheim had to basically come and do programming again. It's because my mission had so many bugs in it and they were so difficult to debug that I could no longer deal with it, which is just, sort of a bad scenario to be in. I wouldn't say it's my least favorite mission. It was just my least favorite mission to work on. In terms of least favorite mission, any mission where there was a countdown timer and you were defending something, those are my least favorite missions across the board. Because you can often hit this point where you're going to lose and there's nothing you can do about it, but you don't know it yet. So you continue play on for another 5-10 minutes, and then you're like, oh, wait, there's no way to win. Especially when the countdown timer is like over 30 minutes long. Never, ever do that. If WoW had not happened, what would have been the likeliest next step for Warcraft? Another expansion or a Warcraft 4? It would not have been another expansion. That's just not the Blizzard way. You do one expansion and then you're done. If there had been another expansion, it would have been from another studio, but who's going to do that? So I would say, I don't know, I think Hearthstone would have happened regardless of WoW. So that would have been the next Warcraft kind of thing. After that, would it have been a Warcraft 4? If Blizzard had not been bought by Activision, probably. But with Activision in control of Blizzard, there will never be a Warcraft 4. The only way there's ever a Warcraft 4 is if another studio makes a better RTS and everyone buys it and it shows that there's like a way to make gobs of money, billions of dollars off of it, then Activision would make a Warcraft 4. So I put the chances between 1 out of 1,000 and hell freezing over. So probably not. There'll probably never be a Warcraft 4.